Hello, folks. How are you? David Parsons here. Welcome to News Trap. It is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. We are continuing to drop into the loony zone. And I wonder what all of that means and what you guys think about it. So I'm going to throw out some probably reckless, hopefully not totally incoherent thoughts and ideas here today. And I wonder how you all might respond. If I'm totally wrong, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Hopefully you won't call me nasty names. But, if that's your vibe, go for it. I think we're all losing our minds a little bit right now. It won't hurt my feelings. That's a lie. It will hurt my feelings, but I'll get over it. All right, so we're talking about tariffs, right? And that's kind of like a boring way of putting what's actually happening, because there's a shift going on. And part of what I'm wondering about as Trump sort of detonates the whole era of globalization and the neoliberal sort of global economic order, what that's going to do to the politics. We talk a lot, especially with Justin Rogers Cooper when he's on the show. Our theory, so far moving forward is the idea of a blowback, right? The idea that there will be maybe intended and unintended consequences to what Trump is doing, and that's going to shape our reality in profound ways. What I'm thinking about, and I am not, the economics expert. I'm much more comfortable thinking about political culture, and I think that's where I'm going to sort of sit today, is to think about this era in relationship to the left and what the left does, because I don't really know where the left is with regards to tariffs and the end of globalization, because globalization and neoliberalism have been the big boogeymen for the left for so many years, and I include myself. I mean, we've had endless conversations on here. When I say on here, I mean this podcast, Nostalgia Trap, about the evils of neoliberalism, for sure. We don't really concentrate as much on it as we have in previous years, because honestly, it's been a word that's sort of like in the academic world, I think, more than any other place. And that's definitely shaped my own perspectives, for sure. But as I've also highlighted, I think, on this podcast, is that I've spent a lot of time in, working class spaces too. In other words, not in the academy. And you don't meet as many people who use the word neoliberalism when you're in working class spaces. You actually don't really meet as many people who describe themselves as leftists or radicals or communists or socialists. Those people are I mostly found those people when I was in higher education. Like when I was pursuing a PhD in history. That's when I met communists. That's when I met radicals. So, that idea of who the left is and what the left is about, particularly economically, is something I'd like to think about, because I've told this story before, but I discovered left-wing politics in my high school economics class when a hippie professor who taught martial arts and had an earring in his ear and played Cat Stevens records for us before class, he showed us Michael Moore's film Roger and Me from the late 80s, which is a documentary that I think, I've heard from many people was sort of formative in their own political imaginations, because it showed a world that you didn't really get from the Reagan era, which was kind of the other side of American economic policies, particularly the idea of free trade and the idea of manufacturing jobs leaving America and going somewhere else. So if you don't know this movie, Roger and Me is the story of Flint, Michigan, a company town that was thriving during the 1940s and 1950s and a little bit into the 60s because General Motors poured so much money into the manufacturing jobs there and the factories. And Michael Moore sort of has a deep nostalgia for that era of American capitalism, when good union jobs at factories were giving the working class an ability to have a home and have a decent life. And when those factory jobs left in the 1970s and 1980s through a process called deindustrialization, Flint, Michigan became a kind of backwater, a hellhole. And people like Michael Moore looked back and said, what happened? And for them, the answer was corporate greed. They had taken their factories and moved them to other countries because they wanted to exploit people in other countries and pay them much less than what they had to pay these unionized workers in the United States. And, that's a narrative that I still think is true. But I wonder what it means to the larger sort of political shifts we're seeing, because Fox News today, this morning, they have a big headline that says, globalization gutted the heartland. And so, the Trump sort of take on things is the Michael Moore take on things, right? That globalization ruined America. And in order to make America great again, we're going to have to move backwards, destroy that framework of globalization, and bring back an era of American manufacturing, right? And they're going to do that through tariff policies. I don't think anyone thinks that's actually going to happen, but my question, which is as much a question for myself as it is for the wider left and all of you listeners, is what is our attitude going to be toward Trump dismantling a global neoliberal economic order that has served as our foil, our bad guys for so many years? Because if it's just going to be like, well, a broken clock is right 2 times a day, or, well, I'm not a Trump supporter, but actually he might be right on target here, that's not fucking good enough. And that kind of ambivalence or vague support has been the tone of things in that left-wing boutique magazine crowd, who I think secretly and not so secretly have a huge hard-on for Trump because he goes after the people they hate. The bourgeois liberals that I guess remind them of their parents. But either way, that attack is not an attack. It's not working for me. To me, it's a massive missed opportunity to create a positive economic vision that works for ordinary people. This should be a slam fucking dunk. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are visibly stupid and evil. Their policies are easily understandable as hostile to the interests of ordinary people in America and people really around the entire world. So don't be fooled by the so-called left right now, who I think are paralyzed about what to do about Trump because he seems to be attacking the people they think are the bad guys. I think we need to move on from that. I think we need to move on from the people who are saying, well, actually Trump might be right here, or actually the real bad guys are the liberals, or actually don't call Trump a fascist because I'm a bit of a fascism expert myself, and I looked up fascism on Wikipedia and it turns out it's Italian. So checkmate, liberals. I mean, that is just not the tone we need right now, and I'm asking everyone to sort of think through this with me. How can we create a powerful resistance to Trump that isn't just becoming a liberal cuck, but is actually putting out a vision that will work for regular people? That's my take on things this week. That's my take on the tariff conversation. I wonder what all of you are thinking. Light me up in the comments. I can take it. Thanks for being a News Trap listener. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.